Alrighty, we're gonna get this live stream started tonight. Put my hat back there so you can see my face. Already got some folks in the house. We got 5 people in the house. That was quick. 7 people in the house. Woo! Everybody's all fired up for tonight's live stream, I hope. Bulldogs in the house. Any yards in the house? Good to have you here, y'all. I always start a little bit early because I don't ever know if I'm going to have technical difficulties. Moses, it's a bit chilly today. Yeah, well, it was 19 this morning. If anybody seen my YouTube and Instagram post, I took the dog for a walk this morning out over on the BLM, and it was 19 degrees, and I just about froze myself. I got back over here, and man, I was cold. I've been talking to my family, my sister's here. I've been talking to her today about some of the old ways that we used to can food and some of the things, family traditions we had, and just some memories. It was pretty good talking about food today. I got a bunch of stuff written down over here. I don't know if I'll keep track on my notes. So we're talking about food and food storage. It's one of my favorite subjects. I just got through eating. What was that? Raspberry sweet roll. That's one of my weaknesses. I'm not big on candy per se or candy bars or stuff like that, but I like my rolls and my donuts. Guess we'll start talking about junk food. We'll talk about all the bad stuff first. Donuts is my worst. I don't know what anybody else. Who else has a weakness? Donuts is mine. I can walk by donuts in a store, and I think I gotta have them. Nicole says hi. Polly's over here cooking. She's cooking. I think she's cooking a pasta. I'm not sure. She's cooking a pasta, and then Anna's over here to my right. She's sick. She actually went to the emergency room today. She has the flu and an inner ear infection, so she ain't doing too well. But they got her on some meds. We've been praying for her, so I think she'll got her on antibiotics. So I think she'll be doing good. Hey, Jim and Jessica's in the house. Good to have you guys. I feel honored to have Jim and Jessica in here. Awesome. Josh says, "Yep, donuts are good." Yeah, On Even Kill says cookies are my weakness. Yeah, Anna, she's my technical person, and if I don't have her, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on this YouTube. I can get live and I can shoot little videos, but she takes care of all the back end in studio and stuff. She's trying to teach me, but I'm not that great of a student when it comes to technical stuff. She can attest to that. Gary Black says, how's it going? Stay warm at it? It's been cold. It might have got up to 30 degrees today about between 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. After that, the sun started going down and it just got cold real quick. We've had the heat going full blast pretty much for 2 weeks, so it's been a real cold time here. Every morning about 12 degrees. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Looks like we got 13 in here. That was quick. We're in 4 minutes. We got 13 people. I really do appreciate y'all coming out. Simple Life Reclaimed. Thank you guys for coming in. So we're going to talk about food tonight and food storage. Food, like I say, is near and dear to my heart. I don't miss too many meals, and I like to cook. I really like to cook. Jim or Jessica said, I think we might have been in the high 50s. Yeah, rub it in. It's been cold here. My sister said, Jewel said it was 72 at her house today. They were having rainstorms. I said, yeah, uh-huh. It ain't it ain't been that warm here since August. I don't think. So so I really would like for you guys to chime in and talk about, we're gonna talk about foods and stuff. And um one of the things I want to talk about now was go to meals. I know a lot of people out there have really simple meals that save time. Um, and I know we eat different summer and winter. In the winter, we tend to eat heavier, and in the summer, we tend to eat lighter. We eat a lot more salads, a lot more fruits, and stuff like that during the summer, particularly if we have fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. But our go-to meals, I thought we'd just go over some of them. Our go-to meal when we don't have anything else, and this is our number one, if you want to rate it, our number one go-to meal is potatoes and any kind of meat. Um, we'll fry potatoes. We'll add either hamburger. And I know some of y'all not gonna like this, but we add spam. Yes, we eat spam. We do eat the light version that doesn't have as much sodium, but we do eat spam. Getting started on the homestead said it was 66 this morning, and the storm came through, and it's in the low 40s. I know Josh is hot. They're having their summer right here. On Even Kill says winter is hot foods and soups, summer sandwiches and salads. Ozark says summer go-to meal is BLT. I know that's right. Bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwiches. That's my breakfast most mornings in the summer. I'll take it. I'll fry up. My wife always complains. She'll say he don't ever cook. I say I do too. Cook. She goes, yeah, meat. So I'll cook like pork chops and make a sandwich, or I'll cook. She'll make tortillas the night before. So then I'll take out the pork chops or tenderloin, fry them up, and I'm the first one up in our house. I'm a morning person. I'm up. It don't matter. You won't hardly ever catch me in bed and everybody else up unless I'm sick. So I'll get up. I'll fry up some bacon, some pork chops, some tenderloin, even some steak. If we got some good steaks, I'll just fry them up real quick, throw them on a tortilla, and I'm out the door. A. Taylor says, for the winter, I make soups, different kinds. My husband loves potato soup. And the yard says, yes, trying. If it gets too hot, to go and hide at my parents' air conditioning. Ain't nothing like air conditioning. Do you guys do air conditioning? Is it humid where you're at, Josh, or is it a dry heat like we have here in the desert? Be kind of interesting to know. But that's our number one go-to meal is potatoes and any kind of meat. We like it with corned beef, with spam, with hamburger. Anytime, it doesn't really matter, breakfast, lunch, dinner. If we just need to make something quick, we'll peel some potatoes. Sometimes throw some onions in there and good to go. You've got a meal, and especially if Polly makes her fresh tortillas. One day, if we can get her on camera long enough to do this, she's going to make tortillas and maybe some fry bread. It's the same dough, and we'll get a video out on that. I'm really trying to get her to do that and get the recipe out there. It's hard to do, okay? Even if the dough is there and somebody's already made the dough, it's hard to make hand rolled, hand patted tortillas. Yeah, that split pea soup was good. It was really good. Gary Black says, Cowboy fudge, my go-to. Yeah. Potatoes is always a good go-to. I've got my list over here. Flip over my page. I got 3 pages of stuff I wrote down talking to different folks today. Pulled pork, where we at? Nicole says, we would love to see Polly make her bread. Bulldog says, pulled pork sandwich with homemade bread is my favorite. Y'all said it's humid. except when the desert winds come through and dry it out. My family, on the even keel, says my family and I eat a lot of pasta and potatoes and rice. Rice is one of my favorite meals. I can actually just eat rice and gravy. Bread and bread. You got cooked bread. And Ozark Mountain says, you ever eat potato donuts? Never eat that one. That one's a new one on me. Getting started, I can eat fried taters and onions almost every meal. When we were growing up, it was fried potatoes, beans, macaroni and cheese, and some type of meat. Some greens. We eat a lot of greens, especially during the summer when they were first coming up, spring and summer. Eat a lot of greens. Usually some type of pork. That was, when I was growing up, that was what we loved. So for breakfast, I don't like a heavy breakfast, particularly if we're getting up and we're leaving and going somewhere, and we're going to be doing something. I don't like heavy breakfast, so we'll do boiled eggs. During the winter, I think I eat more fried eggs, but boiled eggs, and we take boiled eggs with us on the road. I like boiled eggs. We'll take them with us in a cooler and take them right on down the road there. Lots of hot cereal. Now, one of Polly's favorites is blue corn mush, and it's basically blue corn. And what they do is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen matzah, but the blue corn, it's not just ground cornmeal. They swell it and get the hull off, and then they grind it, and they make a blue corn mush out of it. You have to add cedar ash, and what that does, I think it's called emulsification. I may be wrong on this, guy, but I know the process. What the process does, it converts the proteins in the corn when you add and boil the mush with the ash. It converts the proteins in the corn to where your body can absorb more of it. So that's why they put cedar ash in the blue corn, and you just eat it like a hot cereal, like farina. How many people eat farina? I've eaten farina. Let's see. I've run off and left people. I can eat fried. Okay, never tried potato donuts, Josh said. Nicole says use the leftover potato water for bread and donut making. That makes them right. Well, it is full of yeast. It's full of yeast. Right now we are on the Dave Ramsey diet of rice and beans. Rice and beans and ramen noodles. We got a really good recipe on ramen noodles too. I mean, if you want something you want to feed a lot of people really quick and cheap, take your pack, cook your ramen noodles. And there's a way to cook ramen noodles. I don't know if y'all know this. You got to be a chef to do this, okay? You take ramen noodles and you just bring the water to the boil, break up your noodles, throw them in there, and then as soon as it starts boiling, shut it off, put the lid on it. Because what you want a good texture of noodle. You don't want it mushy, because then it just gets to be like paste. You just want to cook it to where it's al dente, okay? Then you take some hamburger and some mixed vegetables, and you make up a roux. And what we do is we take the seasoned packets in a cup, and we put flour and water and make a roux, and then we dump it all in with the vegetables and the noodles, mix it all together, and it makes kind of a gravy in there, but it's a seasoned gravy. And you can feed we fed a lot of people with that little recipe right there. Probably feeding lots of people that and chili mac. You can make chili mac inexpensive. We fed at churches before doing events. We have fed 100, 150 people with chili mac. It's just noodles, hamburger, and some chili beans, and it goes really far and is really good. Let's see. Nicole said that's a good tip. Never thought of that one. Oh, Nicole, that's good. I was talking about. Okay. For over 40 years, from age 17, I've been doing the Daniel fasting. That's a good way to get your body detoxed. Sometimes we don't eat until 10 o'clock. That's us too. A lot of times I'll get up and go out. I'll have coffee and maybe toast, and then I'll go out. And by the time I come back in around 10 or 11ish, Polly will be making breakfast, and sometimes she makes biscuits and gravy and potato gravy. Potato gravy is real good. It's just like the potatoes. Sometimes the night before we had potatoes and spam or potatoes and corned beef, and then she'll make a gravy with that, put it over the biscuits. I know it's a lot of carbs, but during the winter, if you're outside working, you need a lot of carbs. It's really good. Nicole says that's the same thing as fried potato cakes. You can take leftover beans and mash them up, add flour. You can take potato cake, you make bean cakes, potato cakes. They're really good. We do that and then eat it with some gravy over it. You can even eat them with syrup. Done that. Shoot, we're gonna have to try the ramen noodle. It feeds a lot of people real quick, real quick. Josh says, "Crikey, getting hungry, haven't had breakfast yet." Oh me, that's why I ate before I started. But we like the hot cereals, the rice and the raisins, oatmeal and raisins. You can put brown sugar in there. I like to use butter. I quit using margarine. Margarine is not healthy for you, and some people have to use it. Every once in a while, when money's tight, we'll buy margarine. It gives me heartburn. We were been years ago now, and I was having just tons of heartburn, and I was using margarine because it was cheap. I mean, you buy the big old tub for $2.50, $3, and I was using it to cook with everything, and I was having just tons of heartburn, acid reflux, and I was going out. I was having real bad heartburn. I was going out. I never will forget. I never forget when God talks to me. I remember the place where I'm at when He talks to me. Um, I was going out to the backyard in Tennessee, going to the barn, and the Lord just spoke to me. He said, "If you'll quit eating margarine, you won't have heartburn. You won't have acid reflux." I said, "Okay." So I quit eating margarine, and here, I don't know if guys can you see that. That right there is noodles and hamburger. This is one of our go-to meals. It's got a little roux in it that she made, a little gravy, garlic, onions. And during the winter, you really need to eat a lot of the jalapenos and we like the hot veggies. What's that veggie mix called? I don't know if it's called the California mix, but it's the jars of the hot veggies with gardenia, the gardenias. Um, we eat those jalapenos, onions. I like fresh garlic, and you can take and you can grow garlic in a little old tub. You can go to the store, get your garlic, plant it, and have you enough garlic. So really, I really like the garlic, and it takes and it will fight. There's a lot of antioxidants in there. There's a lot of stuff in there that's going to fight this flu germ like she's got over here to my right. And when you live in a small camper, you just kind of pass the flu bug around. So we try to eat a lot of stuff with a lot of antioxidants, a lot of hot soups, and a lot of really herbs and really strong foods, what I call strong food. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, there's 16 watching, only 9 thumbs up. I appreciate that. Yeah, go over there and just hit the thumbs up. Some folks, hey, I didn't know for a long time. Some folks don't know. You have to hit the X and then hit the thumbs up and then go back to the live chat. I didn't know. So Ozark Mountain, where are we at? Chili's. Chili's one day. My stuff's going too fast. But that's kind of our breakfast. That's our go-to breakfast. Um, I searched all day talking about eggs and breakfast. I searched all day, and I talked to everybody that I knew to talk to about this. There is no recipe out there, and the FDA strongly uh, is against canning eggs. You can pickle eggs, but they really recommend. They say that botulism will grow in the eggs, particularly if they get cracked. And me, I can't boil an egg and keep it all together. Um, so I looked high and low for just a recipe for canned eggs, and I've pickled eggs before, um, with hot sauce and stuff. But it was just something that you put in the refrigerator and you eat it right away. Um, there's no recipe out there for it, and they don't recommend it. I did watch a not really watch. I read a blog by a family that says they keep them up to 6 months pickled eggs, but they really don't want any cracks in them, or in the once you take and peel the egg, they don't want it cracked to go to the inside of the egg because any oxygen in there will cause botulism. It'll breed botulism. Brainstorm Anchor says you can freeze eggs. Bulldogs, I have a lot of stomach problems. What I drink is 4 ounces of kefir every morning. That's something I've been wanting to try, but I ain't. When you live in a little old camper, it's hard. It's hard to do all this stuff. I want to make fire cider, but I haven't done that yet either. That's one thing I want to do. It's on my list for this year, and that and how you say it, kombucha, kombucha. Okay, kombucha. I want to do some of that. I want to see how it tastes. Water glassing is the best for preserving eggs off grid. Do you care to elaborate? I'm not sure what water glassing is. This um, Brainstorm says we live in a camper. So yeah, there's stuff crammed in every corner, and I'm a big guy. And when I walk through the camper, stuff falls over. I knock stuff over with my elbows. It's like a train wreck coming through. And if you do it more than once, it gets to be a hassle. You have to clean up what you just what you just oh mate. So we don't do a lot of lunch unless we're out. West Coast Tribulation's in the house. Good to have you here tonight, brother. Um, and you guys make sure you go over and check out everybody's channels and take and join their channel. Um, everybody, I think most folks here's got a good channel. Got channels on YouTube, so I have a hard time. I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time getting to everybody's channel. I try to take and hit people's channels. Sometimes I don't comment, but I'll try to get y'all's channels and watch at least one video. But it's hard working and going different places and doing things. It's hard to take and watch every video that people put out. So I know when folks don't come over and watch my channel. I know how it is. But go over there, give them a thumbs up, watch a video here after a while. Not now. But after a while, they go over and watch some of the videos, get them some watch time, and just really try to grow the community. We've got a good bunch of folks here. Paul and Adrian, Jim and Jessica, Josh, Simple Life Reclaimed. It's a real good community. Okay, Simple Life Reclaimed. Basically, mix equal parts of lime and water in a jar, and then add eggs delicately, and then store in a cool, dark place. They last several months that way. Is that you crack the egg in there? I'm interested in this now. You crack the egg in there. Just Google water glassing. There you go, guys. I looked and I did not look up water glassing. You guys have really got some comments in it. Fresno, California is passing everyone who applies for a concealed carry permit. Our sheriff said they will not comply with the gun grab. There you go, guys. If you're in California, you can also store eggs in lard. That is how they moved eggs across the U.S. in wagon trains. Fire cider would help people and the family not get sick. I know it would. I just have not. For me to do something, I have to. Okay, today I'm going to go do this. I make lists, and I got so many lists of things I'm doing. I have to go that day, buy the stuff that day. Hey, we're doing this today, and it takes and gets overwhelming sometimes. That and taking care of this RV park. Um, Bulldog says I was all kinds of meds for my stomach. In summer, she will make some buckets. Now I'm not on any. Between the keeper, they say that, and I have a lot of stomach issues. I mean, last year I had a real bad bout, and I'm telling you, I'm looking for ways to take and get that fixed. Simple life plans do not crack. Just take from the hen house, put them in the mix. All right, gonna have to try that one. Does what? Rainstorm makes water glass and seals the pores of the egg. I know in France, they just store their eggs out right out on a concrete slab. They don't refrigerate their eggs at all. But I don't think that they wash any of the protective coating off of the eggs either. I know that to be a fact. And their eggs, their desserts and stuff that they make, their quiches and stuff, are 10 times better than anything we do over here. So they just storm right out. And when we were on the desert, we kept eggs as long as we had a little corner there in the house, and it was a cool, dry place even during the summer. And we just put the eggs there, and we never worried about. I mean, of course, we eat them regularly. They didn't stay there for weeks and weeks and weeks, but we never worried about them going bad. Really, we just fried them up and didn't really worry about it. We were younger then too, so who knows? What'll kill a young person, what'll kill an old person won't kill a young person. um, Eggs that are not washed will last a long time. Yeah. That's one thing I learned growing up. You get them old farm fresh eggs. We didn't wash none of the manure or anything off of them. We stuck it in there. I make ghee, and that is what we used to cook with. Easy way to make a bowl: 2 to 4 pounds of real butter. Oven heat to 180 degrees for 45 minutes. Cool. There's a lot of good stuff coming in, guys. This all stuff. I want to get to food storage. We may not. Everybody talking about food, but so for lunch we really don't do a whole lot for lunch. We do like sandwiches, salads. We eat a lot of salads during the summer just because it's easier and it's lighter. The other thing we like is just melons. Sometimes we just eat melons. We cook out during the summer. We'll cook out steaks, hamburgers, pork chops, that sort of thing. But watermelon, I've eaten many a lunch that was melon. I used to take watermelons when I was working in construction. I used to take a watermelon, crack it open, and eat that for lunch. It was light and it kept you going. For dinner, we do a lot of different stuff for dinner, really. And we don't, and I don't know if this has anything to do with any of our stomach issues or not, but we don't eat regular. I mean, it's not like we eat it, 8 and noon and 5. We don't really do that. There's a lot of times when I'm out messing around, with something here on the RV park, where we're out working. I know when we used to work, we used to just take some stuff with us, and when somebody got hungry, they stopped and ate. If we were working on our own place, kind of the same way. Do you like salt on your watermelon? You bet. And our cantaloupe, and our honeydew, and our oranges, and our apples. Oh, tomatoes. Woo, tomatoes and salt right out of the garden. Woo, bless your mouth. But we don't really eat at a particular time every day. We just kind of whenever somebody, oh man, I'm getting hungry, then we'll cook something. Sometimes we like the crock pot a lot. We'll take and put a stew in the crock pot, even ribs. We'll cook ribs in the crock pot, beef ribs. And how I cook my ribs, either the pork or the beef, I take brown sugar, black pepper, garlic, and salt, and I'll rub them down. I like to leave them overnight in the refrigerator if I can. Just rub them down, and it just kind of makes a glaze on there. And the sugar and the salt start drawing the moisture out of those ribs. Then I'll put them in the crock pot, put a little bit of water in the bottom, and I've done a couple racks in the crock pot, and they are just turn it down on low, let it cook all night, and they're falling off the bone, awesome. And the beef ribs, they are oh, I just it's better on beef than it is pork, but it works both ways. And I have soaked pork ribs in Dr. Pepper, and then salt and peppered them, garlic them, and then took and cooked them too. We've got a big cooker, one of those electric cookers, and I'll cook briskets. You guys have seen the briskets and the turkey. But we'll cook ribs in that too. Just kind of prop them up against one another, and it goes real good. Hey, Brainstorm, you took off. Appreciate you stopping by. Dinner will not hold. Go get you something to eat. So, and a lot of times we have stuff left over. We don't have a lot of stuff left over, and that was what was going to bring me. Um, we have stuff like beans. You can can beans. You can if you have leftover beans, if you have leftover soups, if you have leftover, um, like we do cabbage, we'll cook cabbage and egg noodles and kielbasa. You can actually can that and bring it back out and cook it again. Um, one of the probably one of the staples that we have here is Navajo tacos. It's just beans and hamburgers with all the garden on top, lettuce, tomatoes, on top of a piece of fried bread. I'm gonna have me eat fried bread. I'm a blessed man because my wife can make tortillas and fried bread. Okay, anybody out there that don't have fresh tortillas and fried bread, I pray for you. I pray for you because it is good stuff. Bread is good. It, Jesus said He was the bread of life, so bread can't be bad, right? So I like chicken and rice, all those things you can. And me and my sister was talking about canning today. Um, there's two different ways you can can. And if you don't prepare foods right, they can make you sick. At at the very least, if you don't, if they don't make you sick, if you eat them, you've wasted that food, and that's a bad thing. So canning, cold packing. How many of you cold pack? I started out with my mom and my grandma, learning how to cold pack, and the very first thing that I cold packed on my own was pickles. Um, and me and my sister was talking today, Jewel, you are still on here. We were talking about we love cabbage and taters with sausage. Yeah, buddy, good stuff. We like the cabbage with the egg noodles, and we just make them like I said, al dente, and then put the cabbage in there. I hope everybody can see me. I think it's lagging a little bit. I don't know. Is it lagging? Lagging? Is it buffering? Buffering every once in a while. Sorry, guys. Our 4G is a little bit slow, but so cold packing, you can do what we call water bath canning or cold packing. Some people call it raw packing. Um, you don't want to ruin your food. Every once in a while when we're doing it, we'll have 2 or 3 cans that don't seal, but you really don't want to take and do it wrong. And I think being prepared when you start canning. I know my grandma, she would have a little bit of leftover soup or a little bit of leftover this or that, and she used to do a water bath right on the stove top. She would just take a saucepan, throw the jars in there, and the trick that we used to do was just take and put a towel around it and keep it stable. Water didn't take and cause the can to flip over or break or rattle into one another. My sister Jewel was telling me today that when they were young, they used to do it in a wash tub outside up on top of cinder blocks. They would just keep feeding the fire, and they would water can that way, water bath that way. But it does work. If you've never canned before, pickles is probably the easiest. You can't hardly go wrong with pickles. RG Homestead's in the house. Good to have you. Good to have you here tonight. Pickles is the easiest way to get into it. You really don't have to have what we call a cold packer. Basically, it's an enamel pot with the rack in there that keeps it stabilized. The other thing it does is it keeps water coming up under the pickles to take and get water circulation underneath. And that's the easiest way to start. But you can cold pack green beans, the times that they have to boil. I will tell you, I usually cold pack my pickles for about 7 minutes. My sister, she has and I looked it up today, Jewel, if you're still on here. It's actually called upside down pickle. And what you do is you just boil your spices and your pickling lime and your vinegar, and you have your raw pickles in your jar, and you just basically pour your hot liquor over the pickles. Make sure you clean the top of the jar, put your lid on and your ring on, and you just turn them upside down. You let that go for a while. When you turn them back over, they usually seal right away. And the thing is about that kind of thing, if you have one that doesn't seal, you can always just throw it in the refrigerator and eat it. It's gonna take and do the same thing. That's a good thing about pickles. So if you RG Homestead said meat butter is the easiest to start with. You just have to get started in canning. It's fun. Yeah, I love canning. I don't know if it's just something that um, is in my blood because of the way I was raised, or I just like cooking. I love to can sauces and tomatoes. I make every kind of pickle. I made watermelon rind pickles. So Simple Life proclaims to my mom and grandma used to can a lot of things. I remember watching them, but have never tried it myself. I'm going to have to help me for the first time here real soon. Yes, Jewel says yes. If they don't seal, we just eat them. Yeah, you just eat them right away. And I have had some after I put them away after they were cool. I've had some of them pop loose, and they, you find them later and they got mold growing on them. But for the most part, they all seal. So cold packing the different vegetables. One good website that you can go to find the different times and kind of get your feet wet on canning is USDA.gov. It's NAL, and I'll put it in the description. Jonathan made it into the house here. I'll put it in the description once this is all said and done. But it's nal.usda.gov, and they have a lot of different times. I researched the ball canning books today, and you can find them online anywhere from $5 all the way up to $30, depending on what edition it is. Somewhere I have a ball cooking book somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I do have one. RG says I do turkey stock every year and use it through the year along with chicken stock. Yeah, and I know a lot of people, every time they cook a bunch of chicken or they process a bunch of chicken and they make broth. They also can lard when they process their hogs, and it's just part of what they do every day. They'll can chicken stock, they'll can turkey stock, and if you get into the habit of it, particularly if you are living the homestead lifestyle, like right now, I work a job, we're trying to build a homestead. It's a little harder. If you're living that homestead lifestyle and you kind of get into that way, okay, we're going to process these chickens, we're going to do this, we're going to boil down that, then you have it right there and you just make it, and it becomes part of your lifestyle. And that's kind of how we were raised. When the vegetables were coming in the garden when I was little, when the vegetables were coming in, everybody come over and they can. Grandma used to make fresh vegetable soup. She would put everything in there she needed for vegetable soup, and she'd start canning it. She'd process it and can it. And for most of my life, and Jewel said the same thing today, is we didn't have pressure canners. There's two different types. There's cold packing and there's hot packing. Some people call cold packing raw packing. But the water baths, after you take and you pour the liquid in there and you your cold packer, it varies on the times that you're going to take and boil that water for. You can get double stacked bathers where you can do more pints, or you can just do the quarts. And I did have a rack for gallons. You can do different gallons in the cold packer, but it's anywhere from, for the more high acid food is a shorter time, like 15 minutes. For the vegetables, raw vegetables, you're looking at 2-3 hours of boiling. Once the water starts boiling, you start watching the timer and you boil those. But even if you're off grid and you're in the summer and you're harvesting these vegetables, you can set up and do a water bath outside on a propane cooker. We've got one of those propane stands for like the boil. We've got one of those deep fryers for turkeys, that sort of thing. You can do it on those, or you can just build a fire on some concrete blocks. You got a fairly responsible young person, you can sit there and say, hey, feed this fire, keep that water boiling. It has to stay up above the boiling temperature. And, you're going to go different lengths of time. That's why it's important, if you're just getting into canning, make sure you go check out some of these websites, get you a ball canning book. And that way you kind of got something to reference back. So, am I still buffering? I don't know if I'm still buffering. So, Ozark Mountain says, we fermented dill pickles this year. Man, they were good. That's something I've been seeing people do. It's not anything that I grew up around. I'm not too sure about it. So, I might one day get into that, but I'm pretty confident in canning. You can take, just cold bath and stuff. I've never pressure canned, but they say that it really cuts down on your time if you pressure can. Josh says no buffering there. Good. Awesome. You can cold pack meats as long as they're cooked. If you put them in the jar hot, say you want to do beef stew, you can cook that beef stew, and when it's hot, you can put it into the jar, and then you can do a cold water bath or a hot water bath. I'm getting tangled up there. Hot water bath, and it's going to be about 3 hours, but you can that, and it'll be good for. I've seen people eat it 7, 8, 10 years later. I know after my grandma died, we were up there and we were having kind of a family reunion. There was still canned food in her pantry, and we broke it out and ate it. And I mean, it was 2, 3 years after she had passed away, and she hadn't canned in, I don't know, I'd say some of that stuff was 10 years old. So good, good way to keep food, particularly if you're cycling through every year and you're canning your stuff for the winter and it gets you back into the growing season. I know that's kind of how we used to live. Um, we would take and start eating fresh fruits and vegetables when they came in, and then we would start fishing when it warmed up, and then later during the year, we were canning the stuff that we were getting. What we didn't eat, we canned, and then there was hunting, butchering, putting that kind of stuff away. Um, and there's always freezing. Where we were at, there wasn't a whole lot of folks off grid. Some people did, but even now, if you're off grid, you can take and you can get a 12-volt freezer. Um, they're anywhere between $450 to $800 depending on what model you get and what size you want to get, but they're 12 volts. That's how a lot of these meat people that sell meat go door to door and sell meat or go different places. That's how they keep their meats frozen. They just run off a 12 volt. But there are units out there, and the life expectancy on them is pretty good. I mean, if you invest, let's cut it down to middle, let's say $500, and you buy an off-grid freezer that's 12 volt, and it lasts you 3-4 years. Hey, that's pretty good considering you get to keep food frozen on an off-grid situation. Nope. Here, good. So we've talked about, and like I say, I don't have a lot of experience with the hot cannon or the pressure cannon. Um, I'm kind of scared of them. I've been reading stuff and looking at stuff, and it's it to me it looks kind of scary. I know a lot of people do it. Does anybody else pressure can? I got stuff going on here, folks. Sorry. You need the other car keys right here. We have a car, and the headlight shorts out. And if you get pulled over out here, they give you a ticket. She's gonna take the other car. She's gonna pick up my son. RG says, "Waste not, want not" was done all around our grandparents' house. They had to raise their kids in the Depression, so many years ago it worked. Then it'll work now. You bet. Getting started on home, so we do a lot of hot water back to that's all I ever know. And you can basically can anything that you can pressure can. It just takes a longer time. The key is keeping the water boiling. Don't let it drop below boiling temperature. And you can get a little thermometer if you want to, but as long as it's rolling, you know it's boiling. And if you keep that fire fed or you keep it on propane, you're going to take and you're going to get your cannon. And like I said, we did it as it came in, and sometimes we have big gardens. But if you do it as it comes in, you're not just standing out there, all day, every day, canning. You just do it a little at a time. And I tried to do my hot water bath. I tried to do it. I do a pan. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 pans and get it done. So, canning, freezing. Even if you're off grid, you can still freeze if you've got a solar setup with a 12-volt freezer. And the 12-volt freezers, you can turn those down to where they're not freezing, and you can use it as a refrigerator too to keep food fresh on the homestead, stuff like that. One of the best ways that I've seen to do that, hands down, is to have a cellar and have your freezer in that cellar, because the hotter it is outside, the hotter that freezer has to work. So if you're off grid and you're trying to run a freezer on your solar system, if you have it in a cellar or a root cellar, then the temperature is going to be closer to that 55-degree mark. So then it doesn't have to run as much, doesn't consume as much energy. I've seen and I've researched a lot, and every place I've ever been, I've looked at this stuff, and that's what they do is they take and cut ice out of the lake after the lake freezes, haul it back, and put it in their ice. What they have an ice cellar. A lot of them are underneath their houses or underneath their barns. Even they'll dig into the bank and make a cellar. Then they'll store that ice in there. That's their ice house. And most of them will have ice up until like the middle of the summer, the beginning of summer. They'll still have ice, and that's how they keep a lot of stuff frozen, a lot of stuff cold. Once you get that in that 55 degree, right around that 55-degree deal, it lasts a lot longer. And they cut big. I've seen them take chainsaws and cut big old long bars, and they haul them on a horse and buggy, and they hoist them up on there, and then they take them back and put it in their ice house. So that's another option too. Once you start freezing water, you could if you had a cellar, temperature even colder by putting that ice in there. 5-gallon buckets, it gets down to 5 degrees. You got a solid 5-gallon bucket of ice. Okay. I know because we've had it several times this winter. So there's a lot of different ways to preserve food out there on the homestead, even if you're off grid. That's just a few ways. Drying, we make a lot of jerkies. You can dry any kind of fruit, any kind of vegetable you want to. RG says the new refrigerators these days are very good off grid, and they keep your food great even in the heat of the Arizona weather. And that's an off grid system. They're getting better at it. I mean, they're trying to bring the energy consumption down. And I'll just tell you right now, the products that you buy in Phoenix, most of the time they're set for Phoenix. If you buy something in another state that's a colder state, a humider state, they're designed different, and they sell different models at different places. They don't have the same, and I didn't realize that. The same thing goes for power tools and stuff like that. Motors, if you're at a higher elevation, they're set different than they are if you're somewhere else. So, Simple Life proclaims it's a shame that all this knowledge and traditions of living were lost because of technology and convenience. So many would perish if the world ever lost power. They say that 95% of America would die within the first year if we had an EMP or grid down situation. 95%. Most people don't even know how to, and off-grid farming with Paul and Adrian had a really good video. I think it's one of their live streams. They were talking about the different ways to decontaminate water and that sort of thing. But 2 ways you can take and purify water. Of course, everybody knows you can boil water. That won't take out radiation. There are iodine tablets where you can take and get water decontaminated from radiation. But I'm not up to date on that. If I don't know something, I tell you I don't. I've heard it, but I don't. I've never took and studied radiation. I figure if radiation comes, I'm just going to die, and I'm okay with that. If it's my time, God's going to take me out. That's fine. But to decontaminate water, you can always boil it. There's filtration systems out there, but hydrogen peroxide, a 35% solution of hydrogen peroxide. And I had the figures here earlier. I think it's 1 teaspoon of hydrogen peroxide per gallon. That is, and you guys, I'll preface that by saying, go do your own homework. There's some out there, Arizona Hot Homestead or Arizona Homestead Project. Look up Arizona Homesteaders on YouTube. But he does his with the 35% hydrogen peroxide. I watched his video a long time ago. But it's 1 teaspoon per gallon. You can take and sanitize and keep drinking water fresh, particularly if you're catching rainwater. and you're doing rainwater collection, and 8.25% bleach is 1/2 teaspoon per 5 gallons of water. And that's, it's going to taste like chlorine. People say that the hydrogen peroxide takes a lot of the smell out of it and changes the taste of it. So, they say it's better. I don't know. I know we used to take and put bleach in it. One of the good things with bleach too, like people are sick, we put it in our dishwater, and it kills and disinfects particularly your silverware. It'll take and it'll sanitize your silverware so that you're not passing that germ around. Just a side note there. See what we got here. Getting ready to invest in a Berkey. Berkeys are good for even after that, but if you're going to store up water like rainwater, or you're going to store water long term in say you're having water delivered, you're going to need to either put hydrogen peroxide or bleach in it to take and treat it. And there are ways that you can shock it, and I'm not 100% sure. It's something that I've got to do more research on, that I've got to take and I've got to spend some more time with. But those options are out there, and I like to take and tell people what they're out there, at least get them started in the right direction. It's something that I'm going to take and do a little bit more studying up on, so that I know when it comes time for me to take and shock my tanks and then do that. And I think Homesteadonomics, he has some videos on how he treats his tanks and stuff like that. So if you don't do it correctly, you can get sick. And then, of course, filtering all your water is a good idea to a Berkey. Let's see. What really bothers me, Taylor says, is when I see people following some of the big YouTube channels who, frankly, are not honest about homesteading. They don't see that they're setting these people up for failure. RG says, I'll be trying that once I get my system up and running. I'll have to make a video on the one with, yeah. That's something I really want to do my background work on before I tell somebody, hey, this is what you do. Because I don't know. I know it's out there, and I know people are doing it. It's kind of like, hey, I do this, and it didn't kill me. Okay. But I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing before I go and tell people this is what you do. I know that we have treated drinking water in the past with bleach. Even drinking water that you buy, if it's going to sit on your shelf a long time, you're going to need to shock that water and keep it fresh. And we have done that with bleach. And you can shock wells with hydrogen peroxide. And if you've got any kind of stuff in there that needs to be broke down, that hydrogen peroxide will do that. It's an ionizer. So drying, my dad, you can make, and I might do one this year. I'm thinking about it. Out here we have a lot of sand, but basically you can make a fruit dryer, and you just basically use a hardware cloth. And what I like to do is I like to put a plexiglass. Me and my dad built one. I must have been, I'm gonna say 7. Jewel, you might know. We were in Jamestown, and Dad started drying all those big old cans of apple. We had apple trees and stuff. We started drying those. Me and Dad made. Getting started on the homestead says have to go. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. We made one out of, it was a wood, 3-sided wood rack. And then we put some type of plexiglass door. I'm not sure if he used like a window. It's been a long time ago, but I know it had a glass front. And then to keep the flies off of the fruit, we did the hardware cloth. We made 2 racks. And basically we put the food on one rack, and it was a hardware cloth. And then we had another rack that went on top of it, and that was hardware cloth. And we made shelves inside this cabinet. It was a pretty good sized cabinet, and it had maybe 5 or 6 shelves in it. So you can spread out your apples, slice them thin. Your peaches, we used to dry a lot of apricots out here. Polly's folks, I've seen them dry apricots on the hood of a car on a blanket with a sheet. They dry really quick out here, so you don't have near the problem of flies blowing, that sort of thing. And one of the things that that I see a lot of folks out here doing drying meat and stuff is they'll dry mutton in summer, and they'll make soups and stuff out of it later. But I've seen them make jerky. Is they'll put a shoe fly, which is basically some type of something that blows in the wind and takes and shoos flies away. Josh says he's going too. Appreciate you stopping by, brother. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate everybody who comes in, and he's turning out some good videos, folks, over there in Australia. Go over and make sure you check out Josh and In the Yard Homestead. Bulldog says, what do you think about charcoal and sand filters? They do work. You really have to take and have it stacked in there really well. It's going to get a lot of the sediments out, but it's not going to get a lot of the bacteria out. In my opinion, I would boil any kind of water that I find. And, you know, back down there where our homestead is at, down in Apache County, there's a lot of radiation pollution down there in the water. So a lot of that down there, if I found it, I wouldn't drink it. But if you've got water stored, you can always run it through there. But the bacteria, giardia, stuff like that, you're going to have to boil it and get a lot of that out there. Or shock it with chlorine. Even charcoal filters and sand filters, they're awesome to get sediments out and to get, you know, the particles out. But to get a lot of the smaller bacteria, that's something that I would probably take and boil and shock the water. Boiling water gets time consuming. If you're living near a pond or something like that, and you're trying to keep the water, drinkable, you're going to need to take it and come up with a better system than a charcoal sand filter. Berkey filters get most of it, but if there's any chance of giardia or anything like that, I'm going to boil that water or shock it. Maybe store it, shock it, and then let it settle. Then come back and treat it again with a bleach or a hydrogen peroxide. Simple Life Reclaim preemptive goodbye. Hello, Steel. That's a first stage water filter, but you have to do a lot more to make it drinkable. Yeah, you're gonna have to treat it with something. I think the Berkey filters, if you're looking to get it as clean as possible, if you're doing rainwater and it hasn't set a long time, a Berkey filter or water testing kits out there where you can test your water, and they're pretty good. There's several different kits that I found online. They don't cost that much, and if you've got a tank of water sitting there and you're not sure about the pH levels and you're not sure about the different things in it, you can take and get you a little sample of it, and it's got a sheet that it turns the different stripes on there, different colors, and it kind of tells you what's in there. It's not an inclusive test, but it does kind of give you some idea. But shocking it, filtering it, those are all things that if you're going to live on rainwater or you're going to live on somebody delivering you water, that's something that you're going to have to do. And there's a lot of people on there. Willow Creek Homestead, they have water delivered to they're in southern Idaho. They have water delivered to their house, and he shocks his with chlorine bleach, and then they filter it in the house. They have what a hard water filter in their house. There's another good channel you can go check out their water systems. I'm not sure if they have a playlist on it, but I know Joe over at Homesteadonomics, he's done a bunch on his water system. Um, but if you're going to live off grid, if you're going to have water hauled to your place, you're going to haul water, or you're going to do rainwater collection, you're going to have to treat it with either chlorine, hydrogen peroxide, or both. Shock it with chlorine, put hydrogen peroxide in it. I'm not sure about how long you have to wait to do those things, but I know as long as it's sitting there, you want to keep sunlight off of it. It needs to be in a dark tank or in a shaded area, and you're going to have to treat it if it's going to sit. Or we do as well, but we have a filter after it gets to the tap to drink. On the Berkey filters, the Berkey pitchers, and the Alexa Pure. Yeah, the Berkey filters, they come with you have to order those filters online. They're comparable online. What I tell everybody is go do your own homework. And you might find one thing. What I look for is longevity. Can I get this product at a sustainable price for a long period of time? They might have a sale on this, but then later, on this product, there's a sale. This product is a little higher. They have a sale on this product. It's something I'm going to continue to use. Well, if it's going to increase in price later, and this is a one-time thing to get me sucked in, I'm going to go with the one that costs a little bit more right now, because over time, it's going to save me money. That's what I look at. So if I'm going to use it over a long period of time, I like to be trying to find things and looking for sales on stuff that is part of my everyday life. As far as I've got to have it, and you've got to have water in the desert. Water's life. So on a product like that, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go with what I know. We do as well, but we have a filter. Okay. Never use clear or white tanks. You're not happy. Black or dark green Arizona. Yeah. Yeah, you've got to make sure that the sunlight doesn't get in there, because sunlight breeds algae. It's going to take and it's going to activate those bacteria in that water. It's going to cause stuff to grow inside that water, mold, all that. The sunlight out of there. Oh, we covered a little bit of everything. But you can dry about anything during the winter. I was going to go back to drying. During the winter, over a wood stove, we have these racks that we set on top of our stove, and we will prepare our jerky. We usually we usually do deer meat. I did 50 pounds of deer meat. And we went on a road trip. And I did some honey and pepper jerky. I did some just flat out straight up salt jerky. But we eat it before we got out of Tennessee. We eat all the jerky that I fried. And of course, 50 pounds of jerky is probably 10 pounds of meat. Between 4 people, it doesn't last very long. When you're just sitting there. And it's addictive once you start eating it. What is the best way to keep and store water in winter? Keep it from freezing if you live on. I would at least have my tanks buried halfway. One of the things that we have found over the years is black plastic piping will take and it will defrost quicker if it's frozen. So if you have a black tank, it's buried halfway in the ground, and it has a black top, any kind of sunshine you get is going to heat that tank up, and it's gonna take to keep that water from getting hard frozen. Another thing is a water circulator. Off grid it's a little bit harder, but you can do it. Off grid. Hey guys. RG says, here's a tip when you get those 55-gallon barrels, make sure you're clean the heck out of them before using them, even for the garden. Yeah. Anything that's a little bit, if it's not a food grade, IBC code, if it's not a food grade barrel, and even some of the they're food grade, but they have had concentrates in them. They have a high level of acid, and they will kill plants if you don't wash them out good. The best way is take them to the car wash, open them up, spray some soap in there, um, rinse it thoroughly, and then run some water in there. And what I do is I'll take and I'll dump in a big 300 gallon. I'll dump a whole gallon of bleach in there, let it sit at the house, and then I will take and flush it with water. I'll generally do that a couple of times after I take and have the tank, after I've washed it out, after I've had the bleach in there set. It's going to kill anything that's in there. Then I'll flush it out with the fresh water several times. Fill it all the way up, let it run out. Fill it all the way up, let it run out. And you know, if you're trying to irrigate, that's a good place to take and irrigate with that water. Once you have taken and got the bleach out of it, but it does go through some water. But if you're going to use that for cows, a lot of cows and a lot of horses have died because people have used defecant. They've got those IBC coats that have defecant in it, and it kills cows because it's such a high concentration. Horses and cows have both died by people using those chemicals. And some chemicals, once you get them in the ground, they never quit. That's why I go to a car wash to wash them out that first time, because I don't want that in my ground. If it has defecant in it, has any kind of chemicals in it, anything like that, I'm gonna take it to the car wash. It's gonna go into a public, a public water supply, where they take and they treat those systems. It's not going to take and go in my grounds around my house. So, hey, Paul and Adrian, glad you guys come back in. We've covered everything from our favorite food to food storage. We've done a little bit of it. Does anybody else have any questions about cold packing, anything like that? I'm probably going to do some. I want to pickle some eggs. I've got a lot of things planned out for videos. I just haven't took and had the time to take and get the videos. Bunch of things that I want to do for videos, some educational stuff, for cooking and preparing food, stuff like that. But if anybody has any questions, it's a cold packing and packing your vegetables from the ground to the canning process is so much fun. When you see it grow up, you took and you tended it, and then you harvested it, and you canned it, and in the dead of winter, you get to take it. Eat. Bye, sis. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. My sister Jewel, she lives in Tennessee, so it's a little earlier there. Got her bedtime, so we'll see you later. Water is the biggest thing on the desert. If you have got a good water supply, and like us, we've always had the challenge because we have a lot of livestock. We have to haul water. It's a constant part of life, is hauling water. It becomes part of you. I've got a friend of mine over in Colorado, and he lives way out away from town, and we used to work together in construction. And he had made a trailer out of house trailer axles and had a tank on it. And every day, I mean, that was part. He had that hooked to his truck 24/7. I mean, every time I seen him, he had that behind his truck. He wore out a couple of trucks just dragging that thing around, and that was part of his life, was hauling water every day. And he lived, I'm gonna say 25, 30 miles out there, and he still lives there. He lives on a piece of property. They raise a garden, stuff like that. But he hauls that water religiously. It's part of your life, and you don't ever want to run out. If you run out, things go downhill quick. Simple Life says, I can't wait to try some canning. When I have questions, I know who to call. Thank you for being such a helpful source. Well, thank you guys for taking and before anybody goes too much, I've rattled on. We are looking to do a collaboration. Myself, Simple Life Reclaimed, anybody who off-grid desert farming with pollinating. If you guys would like to be in on the collab, they can contact us. Drop us a line. Um, we're going to be talking about homesteading in the desert. Some things we're going to put out the collaboration, and we're all going to take and release our videos kind of at the same time, and kind of see everybody's perspective and just kind of learn some things about each other and kind of draw the community, of desert homesteaders together, and kind of learn some things about the different areas on the desert. Desert, desert goes, like Green Dream Project, they're way south and they were 55 degrees. I'm in northern New Mexico, northern Arizona, and it's 15 degrees this morning. So there's a lot of variations there. So Bulldog's leaving. Glad you stopped by. Um, we want to kind of pull the community together and kind of network and try to learn a little bit more about others and bring a little bit more. I know there's people out there that want a homestead on the desert, and some of them, you know, RG says he's in fact, yeah. Drop me a line. Drop uh, Simple Life Reclaim the line. Just message them. They are on Instagram also. Messages, and I'm on Facebook. You can message me, or you can just drop a line in one of my videos. I'll find it. And I want to apologize to folks. Some of our videos I didn't know. Um, Off grid with pollinators sounds good. Awesome. I'm so glad I mentioned this. I almost forgot. But some of our videos have the comments turned off, and I really apologize for that. That was not intentional. I don't know if there's something YouTube did or something I overlooked. And then some of them had some of the comments up for review. I didn't know about it. We unlocked the last 11, I think, and got them all straightened out. So sorry about that. The giveaway. There's still time to get on the giveaway. I think we're at 496 subscribers. Give away the knife. And you just have to go to the small hand tools video, which is like 4 or 5 back. It has the tool belt on there on the what's that called? The thumbnail. It's got the tool belt on there with the tools. Take and go over there, make a comment, put giveaway in the comment. It don't matter if you put it the front, the last, any kind of comment you want to make, put giveaway in there. You'll be entered in the giveaway. We're going to be giving away the knife that we showed you on the last live stream. It's an antique. I don't even know what it is. I can't remember. When I get to a certain point, I forget a lot. I get tired. But anyway, Simple Life Reclaim. I would like to. I think it would be fun. I think we should all get together. I think we should pick a time, go meet at a central location, either at somebody's homestead or maybe even a public area, a park, a lake, something. Have a big shindig, get together, swap war stories, sit around, learn a lot, and really get to know one another. I know I've met some awesome people in this YouTube community. When we first started out, we really didn't know that it was so much of a community. It has really grown, and there's different little areas, and it's not just people who live in one area. I was on Green Dream Projects the other night, and Doug and Stacy, they're out in Missouri. They took and jumped in on their live stream, and it's just awesome how everybody pulls together. So it's it is really a phenomenon, if you ask me. I have talked to people on Instagram, social media. If you swamp in the AZ, I will go. If you swamp in the AZ. Yeah, I think in Arizona, be it, everybody I know is either in Arizona or New Mexico. Um, I'd love to put something together. If we can get together and uh, and put an event together, I'd love to do it. I would really love to do it. Um, I think it'd be a good time. Maybe we can get Paul and Adrian to take and play some music. That'd be good. Sit around with guitars. I don't know who else takes and plays, but get together with some guitars. And maybe we have a little singing and a little picking and a little grinning. It'd be good. I think it'd be real good. But don't forget about the way. We're only 4 away from giving the knife away. And then when we reach 1,000, we're going to give away the toolkit that you're going to be commenting on for the giveaway. And you'll be entered in that giveaway also for the 1,000. So once we get to 1,000, we're going to give away that whole toolkit. I'm going to be adding some other stuff. Desert Dog, hello from Newport, Tennessee. You ain't moved to Texas yet? I thought you was moving to Texas. Maybe I got my timeline off. I will go to see it if nothing else. I have heard of some swamps in Arizona. They're few and far between, and maybe only 4 months out of the year. Going on a road trip tonight to Terra Lingua. I've watched this. Do you have an email address at High Desert Homestead? Yeah, go ahead and put it in there. Wood key in it. I thought Paul and Adrian. I thought you emailed me one time about a video, but we'll put it in there again. For anybody who wants to contact us via email, uh, Anna's going to put our email address in there. They can copy and paste that somewhere, and you guys are more than welcome to get a hold of us, and we'll have a get together and maybe have a singing. There's our email address, and I pretty much check my email every day. I've got alerts on my phone, so. And if anybody wants my phone number, email you. I'll give you my phone number. I'd love to talk to y'all. We can set something up, get together, and put it out there. And this summer, or maybe early spring, we'll get have it. That's after monsoon rain. I hope this year's going to be better. We need the rain. We do need the rain, but we sure are getting a lot of snow. That's for sure. For sure. Maybe we get together, cook pig in the ground. Uh, that'd be good. Desert Dog says it's raining cats and dogs in East Tennessee. Yeah, that's what Jewel said. Said they were having a real storm. Middle Tennessee too, Jonathan said. Yeah, my wife just come in. She said that we could meet up at a restaurant, or we could even have things catered. It don't matter to me. Yeah, I think we should. I think we should do a meetup, have a potluck or something. Come together and just have a big old time. We're praying for you, Josh. We're praying that God sends the rain. Everybody keep Australia in your prayers. They're really going through a tough time. I always tell people, and it's a time when something like that goes on to show the love of God to people. Sometimes it's an opportunity for people to cry out to God and get a hold of God. But anytime there's a tragedy, that is a time for the people of God to show the love of God. And if people are crying out to God, that is the best time to minister to them. So if pray that God's will be done. Above all else, pray that God's will be done over there in Australia, and that out of it comes a good harvest. Out of it comes a good thing for the kingdom of God. That's my prayer. Whatever it does, it says that He works all things together for our good. So we're praying for good things to happen out of it. It's sometimes we don't understand everything we need to understand about God's will. We just have to pray that God will be done. We should plan a camping trip and just reserve a block of spot. We have a great cookout dinner and maybe go on a hike. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Let's. I'm up for it. Anybody? We'll email one another. We'll talk. We'll put this thing together. We'll block off the time. We'll go spend the weekend. There's a lake. Paul and Adrian know more about this than me, but there is a lake just south of us. I think it's south of St. John, down near. I can't think of the name of the place. There is a lake down there. I'm not sure if they have a campground, but there is a lake down there. Yeah, I seen that. 24 people have been arrested for starting some fires and doing it on purpose, and not in one area either. All over. I seen the map where they had started all in Australia. Josh, you know anything about that? Is it in the headlines over there? Springerville, Nicole. Lyman Lake. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Maybe there's something down there. I'll do some research on it. We'll put this thing together, and maybe we can do some cooking stuff. Maybe we can talk about different on the homestead. It'd be. I think it'd be a real big time and a great time to get together and fellowship and just have a day where we can kick back and have some fun. Go fishing. I don't care. People think that it's catching. It's not catching. It's fishing. If you catch fish, that's the plus. That's the bonus. But the best part about it is throwing your line in the water and kicking back and go sleep. That's my favorite part of it. So, and if I catch a fish, that's even better. If not, at least I was sitting by the water and I was getting some rest. So, the older I get, the more I like eating and resting, sleeping, eating, and resting. That's my top three right there. I go into Sholo quite a bit, so it wouldn't be too far from either. St. John, not that far. There we go. I see a meetup coming. Not sure about how many people have been arrested, but about 24 people have died in the fire. Man, I know a lot of wildlife has been lost. It would be fun to fellowship and relax with like-minded folks in the religious, like in read. Oh, I have a hard time reading. My right eye has a cataract on it, folks. If you see me leaning in and squinting, it's because I cannot see it. Regions like ours can have fun and learn. Yeah, and it's always fun to get together with like-minded people. I mean, you got to be a little bit, but you got to be a little bit crazy to live with. I mean, but you're definitely not normal. It's so sad that the wildlife have nowhere to go either. Yeah, it's burning right up to the beaches over there. We got a lot of conversations going here at one time. This is mass chaos. Probably not another live stream out there like this. But yeah, I'd love to take it to a meetup. I think we're gonna get one together, and the more the merrier. If we can take and find a place that'll house us all, and I think it'd be a good time to get together for sure. So we've covered food, we've covered food storage, we've covered water treatment, what we know of, filtration systems and that sort of thing. We've covered the collation. We've covered all the things I think I wanted to cover tonight, and we're about an hour and a half. So, we is there anything else? Huh? She's sitting over here off camera. Anything else I didn't cover? The giveaway. We were the giveaway. Remember, guys, if you have not entered to win the giveaway, please go over there to that other video. I don't know if you watched it all or not, but leave a comment. Get entered in that giveaway. We'll be giving away that night. RG says Prescott would be a good place. It's in Central Arizona. Yeah. Hey, I'm up for it. I'm up for a road trip. We Holly says around Phoenix it's warm all the time. So hopefully you guys email us. We'll email you. We'll get together and we will put a date together and try to get applications and plan their stuff way in advance. So we'll get together, we'll get a date put together, and I know May's not good for me, but maybe sooner. It gets warmer in Arizona a little sooner, maybe April, maybe June. Uh, whatever folks, um, whatever sounds good to folks. We're pretty open. We can pretty much do. But I know in May, one week in May, my boss going on vacation, and I won't be able to go. Let's say when. I'm ready to go now. um, we like adventure. I think we're adventure souls. We just like to take off. When we were younger, I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about now. When we were younger, we used to take and just let's go to Tennessee, and we just jump in the car and go to Tennessee. By the weekend, we have sold everything we had, which wasn't much, in the house, and packed up our stuff. And by the weekend, well, let's just go to Tennessee, and we just pack up. We in Tennessee. We just take off, and go across country. We was traveling people, and just adventures. I love adventures. Anything for an adventure. I sleep in Phoenix once. It was 103 at 3 a.m. No, thank you. Just anywhere's good. Anywhere's good for us. We'll take and we'll see what works for everybody. And there's a lot of people collabing here, so that's how we were before kids laugh out loud. We want to get back to some of that when practical. That kind of slowed us down. Not really, because when I used to do horsemanship clinics and stuff like that, our kids went with us. We would spend 3-4 months at a time just traveling around. So we were kind of nomads. Rosie, my sister-in-law Rosie called us gypsy. We got gypsy soul, gypsy heart. So, well, I've covered about everything. I've rambled on long enough, and my coffee has got cold. I had coffee sitting here this whole time, and I did not drink it. This is my cup. Give me that. So we're gonna let everybody go. Everybody say the goodbyes. Josh, appreciate you being a moderator tonight, and I think being a moderator. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Make sure that you hit the like button on your way out, and remember to pray for Australia. And we'll get together and we'll have us a big old time this year. I'm looking forward to it. Good night. Nicole says my coffee's cold too. Good night. God bless. And we'll see you down the road.